What is up, guys? I know it's been a minute since the last time I put out one of these videos. Reason being for that, one, I'm kind of lazy, I will admit, and two, it's because my computer is pretty garbage, and honestly, it can't really handle these videos where I'm recording the screen. It goes at like 6 or 7 frames a second, and I honestly tried to record a couple more, and they haven't gone so well because the video just keeps lagging, and it'll be a still frame for 30 seconds to a full minute. But I'm going to try it again. Maybe I'll have better luck today. And I'm just going to do a simple, quick, and clean edit of this picture I took. And I already have a pretty good idea of what I want the picture to look like. It's very minimal. And yes, I'm just going to jump right into it. So, very first thing I'm going to do is flip this photo around so that it looks like I'm jumping or floating or something like that. I actually took this picture while lying on my back with my feet in the air. But yeah, I'm just gonna hold down the control key and hit the left bracket key a couple of times just to turn it. And yeah, now it's rotated right side up. Next thing I'm going to do is bring down my white balance. I need a very cool photo. I'm going to be reducing a lot of the color in this picture. It's going to be very muted. I'm going to be reducing vibrance and saturation of colors. So I'm going to have to bring down the temperature lower than I normally would because I need the background to be white. And as you guys can see, it's whiter and brighter up here in the upper right and like darker yellowish down here in the lower left. So I'm going to have to bring down the temperature until all this yellow is gone, which I'm going to be decreasing the saturation of orange and yellow later on, but this will just make the job a little easier. So I'm just bringing down the temperature until that goes away. And 4500 looks good for now. Very next thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to jump into this color panel over here. I'm going to bring the saturation of orange all the way down, saturation of yellow all the way down, saturation of green all the way down, because those are colors that I don't want or need. But just in case any of those colors do show up in some areas of this photo, they'll probably need to be brighter instead of darker, so I'm just going to raise the luminance of all of that. So even though there won't be any color, it will add a little bit of brightness to the photo. Very next thing I'm going to do is this picture has a sort of a blue tint to it. I mean, not a blue, purple tint to it, and I need it more blue. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to slide over, down here to the hue of blue, just bring it to the left a little bit. -10 looks fine for me. It has sort of a almost greenish look to it, but it'll work out for the look I'm going for. Actually, I think I might even bring up the luminance of the blue just to brighten it up a little bit. +25 looks good. I will be brightening up the background, making it whiter and brighter. Not completely white, a solid white, you know, perfectly white background, but you know, better than what it is now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the highlights quite a bit, somewhere around, you know, definitely past 50, probably not quite 100, but I'll just keep bringing it up until it looks good to me. And yeah, +70 looks fine for now. I'll also be bringing up the shadows quite a bit, not entirely, but the shoes are very dark. You can't really see any of the details in them, and I don't want to completely bring out all the detail, but I just want to make it just a little easier to see. Plus, opening up the shadows to make the picture brighter overall. So, +50 looks fine for now, maybe a little less. +45 looks good. Next, I'm going to bring down the vibrance. As I said, I want very muted colors. I want almost no color in this picture at all. Only color I really want you to be able to see is, you know, subtle shades of blue. So I'll be bringing that down quite a bit until there's almost no color left in the picture. Yeah, so -45, that looks great. I think next thing I'm going to do is, you guys know that I like to play with the tone curve if you've seen my previous videos. And you know that I'll usually select medium contrast. Then I'll delete the second to last lower left control point, and then I'll bring up the lower point up to give it sort of a faded look. You know what, honestly, even though that is a look that I'm very fond of and I do use it for a lot of my pictures, I don't think I'm actually going to do that. I don't really need or want like a faded look for this picture. I don't need it to look like vintage or washed out. I think I'm going to prefer it to look, you know, sharper, more contrasty, a starker contrast. I want to pop more. So I think instead of, you know, playing with the tone curve, I'll just add some regular contrast. So not a ton, but a decent amount. +25 looks pretty good. I'll also add some clarity. Now, as I've said before, adding clarity does not add sharpness to your photo. It's more of like a different kind of contrast, but it'll just add a certain crispness to this picture. and plus 40 looks pretty good for the look I'm going for. Alright, so moving right along, I think the next thing I'm going to do is brush over my jeans with the adjustment brush because the lighting is kind of harsh on the back of my legs. When the photo was upside down, the lighting was coming from the left, it was coming from my window, but now it's coming up from the upper right, and so you have a harsh lighting on the back of my legs. I just want to be toned down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take my adjustment brush, reset it, and just brush over the back of my legs really quick. And you won't see a change right away because I haven't changed any of the settings yet. But what I'm just going to do is bring down the exposure some. Alright, so minus 40 looks pretty good to me. I think I might even bring the contrast up to help the jeans pop some. So, plus 35 on the contrast looks fine to me. And these are raw denim jeans, so they do have a bit of texture to them, and that kind of, you lose some of that in this picture. They almost look smoother than they are. So just to bring back some of the texture, what I can do is add clarity to it. So I'll just bring that up. Actually, that's a little too much. 35, that looks good. And I'll also bring the highlights all the way down on these. Maybe not all the way down, actually I'll bring it back up some, around 75, that looks fine. And I can see here that since I did, I wasn't very careful. If I hit the O key, I can see the overlay for where I made my brush strokes. I can see, obviously, I wasn't very careful, and it spilled over, so now I'm on the wall, and that resulted in me adding sort of like a shadow. So what I'll just do is I'll hold down the Alt key, which will turn the brush tool into an eraser, and I'll just erase the portions where I kind of went over the jeans and onto the wall, and then I'll just take care of that. Alright, so that looks pretty good. And this picture is almost done. I think the next thing I want to do real quick is I'm just going to create another brush. I'm just going to click on New. That's going to reset my settings for me. And it's, as I mentioned before, it's brighter here in the upper right, darker here in the lower left, and there's also like a lot of noise. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this was shot at ISO 640, as you guys can see. Plus I did raise, the exposure and the brightness quite a bit for this picture. So, yeah, it exposed even more noise than there was. So what I'm just going to, and plus I'm about to raise the shadows over here, so it's going to bring in even more noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the shadows, not a lot, but maybe around, I don't know, 20, 30. We'll meet in the middle and go 25. And noise, I'll raise that all the way to 100, why not? And I'm just going to brush across the bottom of the screen just to kind of blend it in a little bit more so that the lighting's a little more even. I don't want it perfectly even. I kind of like how it's naturally flown from brighter to darker, and does work for the kind of look I was going for. But I just want it a little more even than it was. I think I might even add a little bit of a blue tint to it, because over here it's bright white, down here it's kind of gray, and up here it's kind of blue. And like I said, I do want more of a blue tint to the photo. Besides, adding blue will make the white look more white as opposed to like gray or having like a yellow tinge to it. I think adding a little bit of blue looks better. So just help the bottom of the photo match with the left. I'm just going to add maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10. You don't have to add a ton when you're playing with the temperature, because a little goes a long way. So yeah, minus 10, and that actually looks just about perfect. I think I might even add one more brush and do the same thing with the upper right. It's a lot more white. It's like almost a pure white, which isn't exactly the look I'm going for. So I'm gonna bring down the tint, or the temperature actually, to minus 10. And I'll probably even bring down the highlights some so that it's not quite as bright and that it'll blend in a little bit more. I'm not sure what I'll need, but I'll just try minus 25, and I'll just brush here over the upper right. And yeah, that's actually pretty perfect. I'm just going to see where I brush real quick. Just going to flip these switches to see before and after the brushes. Yeah, I like that a lot better. That actually looks pretty good to me. Next thing, I think I'm going to bring down the vibrance even more, just to mute these colors just a little bit more. And that looks really good. I think that just about wraps it up. What I might do is just slip into the detail panel real quick, bring my masking all the way up to 100, because when it exports it'll add a little bit of sharpness, and I don't need it applied over the entire photo, just the very bare minimum detail. So if I click the Alt key if I hold down the Alt key and click on the masking slider, it'll show you if my computer will load it up. See, this is what I mean. Like I said, my computer is very, very slow, very poor. There we go. You can see everything that you see that's white, that's getting sharpened. Everything that's black is not. So yeah, I just needed, I don't need any sharpness at all. Honestly, it's probably sharp enough without adding any sharpening whatsoever, but this is just like a standard that it does, and I just only needed to apply to the very, very bare minimum details. Noise reduction, I don't really think I need any. I might add just 5 just for the sake of it, but it doesn't really need any. Adding a lot of noise reduction, it blurs out your photo, it makes it less sharp. I guess that'll kind of balance it out. I'm reducing noise, but adding a little bit of sharpness. So that'll work out in the end. And that pretty much wraps this up. I think just as one final touch, I might hit the spot removal tool and just, I can see a couple of dust spots from either my lens or my camera sensor. I'm just going to get rid of those really quick. There's also a scuff mark back here on the wall, so I'll just click and get rid of that as well. And once I take care of that, that'll pretty much be the end of this video. So if you guys liked it, be sure to let me know. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see, definitely let me know. I can do other types of photography. I've just been showing you guys pictures that I take, like, you know, on a regular day-to-day basis. So, yeah, but if you guys want to see something like, I don't know, environmental photography, landscape photography, you know, the pictures of retouching sunsets, stuff like that. Like, I do take a variety of photos, but it's mostly just, you know, stuff from my day-to-day life. I take pictures of things I own and myself, like, mainly. I mean, I do get paid, you know, to do photos for people from time to time. But that's more of like, you know, like a side thing. Like, I'm not a professional photographer or anything. I mean, but yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. I'm just gonna hit the Y key to compare the before and after. And here we see what we started out with on the left, what we ended up with on the right, and I really like what we ended up with. So I'll leave a link to the HD version of the final image on Flickr. I'll leave it in the description below. And yeah, that's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.